Ma'am, we can start now. It's already 4.
All
Ashwini,
right.
ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. We can start.
Yeah. Good evening, all of you, all the participants. Good evening, members of Sahodaya School Complex, Pataliputra, and all principals if they are here for the interaction session. And let me begin by thanking the Sahodaya Complex of Pataliputra, Dr. Shubhoshri Sarkar, our president of Jamshedpur Sahodaya Complex, and all the participants, the teachers and the principals of the participating schools for joining us today. It will be an interactive learning session because we all have managed the change till date and we will be managing in future as well. Right, so welcome to the session Managing Change. We begin the session with the point to ponder. We can use the chat box. Please be alert. And all of us have already come across the changes from the chalkboard to the keyboard, right? So very fast we have to type. So we begin with the point to ponder. All of you, please see the picture. As you can see, there is a picture of a teacher training or a trainer training a child. But this is not the point to ponder. The point to ponder is all teachers teach, but do all children learn? Your response in the chat box, please. All teachers teach. Do all children learn the same? The moment you put a no, very good, no, but I'm not able to see the names. Yeah, Vanashri ma'am, Ruchi ma'am, so many of you are writing no. Now, can you tell us in 1 or 2 words the reason for all children not learning at the same pace or not learning the same? I'm sure I'm audible. So all children, all teachers teach, but all children are different learning ability, do not listen carefully. All right, just a minute. Why am I? There'll be one patch, but don't worry for the patch. I'm not able to see the names of the participants. Capacity of adapting, yes. Different mindset. They do not take interest. Different, Priyanka ma'am, different learning ability, absolutely. So different learning capacity or counseling, somebody has written. So in such a case, when we have realized that different teaching strategies, right? So when we have realized that there is a difference in the learning, right? So what do we need to do? So that at least, if not all at a time, we can bring about a drastic change or a drastic improvement in our teaching learning strategies so that maximum students learn. What can we do? Social environment, due to lack of, Subhash sir, due to lack of different learning ability. Yes. So what can we do? We as teachers, what can we do? Interactive learning, all right, but we are doing interactive learning now also. Madam, attendance will be at the end. Motivate by examples, all right. Motivate by
Ma'am,
examples.
there is no attendance link if it is marked automatically by WebEx. If you attend the whole session, you will be getting the certificates. There is no attendance link.
So effective plan, somebody had written change, bring about different in our teaching. Absolutely. Oh, somebody has written mindset. Wonderful. Change the method of teaching, change the mindset. Absolutely. So we have to bring about a change, right? Agreed. Now that we bring about a change in what? What does change denote? Can you put down what does change denote? Yes, I can see the reaction of clapping, but I cannot read, I cannot see the name. So thank you, whoever it is. Anil sir is writing method of teaching. Yeah. So tell me behavioral change. What does change denote? What comes to our mind when we say change? Somebody has written update. Absolutely. Change. The word change, when we say change, what strikes our mind? Changes a new method, something new, all right. Using different tools, absolutely. Progressive changes, Pushpa ma'am is writing, wonderful. Change, yes, something new, Arvind sir writing. Flexibility, absolutely. So every transformation, wonderful. Somebody has written transformation, absolutely. So change may refer to alter, differ, modify, vary, or many more words that you are putting here. Transform, new, bringing different new things, lot of things. Now tell me, what can be changed? Very easily, what can be changed? What is the easiest thing to change? Yes, please. Mindset. Whose mindset? What is the interest? Aman sir is writing good ways of teaching. Change yourself. Yes, somebody has written change yourself, change our approach. Wonderful. So that is what it is, easy to change ourselves. It is easy to change our approach than changing the world. And if we can change ourselves, if we can change our approach, if we can change our mindset, we can easily manage the change. I repeat, if we can change, bring in the change in ourselves, we can easily manage the change. If we are ready to change, we can manage the change. All those who agree with me, please put a capital A in the chat box. All those who agree with me, put a capital A. 1, 2, 3. 3 A's. Umesh sir, okay. So many of you, those names which are visible and saying, some names are Roma ma'am. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So you all agree that if we can manage, if we can change ourselves, if we are ready to change, we can manage the change. Absolutely. So why is change necessary? Let us know the background so that we can manage the change easily, right? It is not the strongest of the species that survive, not the most intelligent, but the most responsive to change, right? The quality of a successful man is to flow and not to freeze. I am not saying great people have said this. That is why these are within inverted commas. Or somebody disagrees, whoever disagrees can put it in the chat box in the due course. I will check that, right? If we are ready to change, because most of you have agreed, we can manage the change easily, right? But what do we need to manage the change? We will do in the session today, in the subsequent slides. Now you see, the very strong point, it is not the strongest of the species, not the most intelligent, but the most responsive to change that survives. Why? Because you see, when lockdown came, what better example can we give of the pandemic which we just faced? When this lockdown started, I'm sure you will agree with me, the teachers have proved that there is no lockdown to education, right? If you feel what I'm saying is right, put an R in the chat box. The teachers have proved that there is no lockdown to education. Yes, Momita ma'am, thank you. Many of you are writing R, Rupa ma'am. So that is because we adapted to the change, right? We never learned computers. We never learned technology. We rather, when technology came into existence, when these robots were discovered and when these smart boards came into existence, the teachers community did have an apprehension. Oh my God, what is this? But they have never replaced the teachers. No robot can replace the teachers, right? But then because we were responsive during pandemic, we accepted the change, we realized the change, and then we took over it and we managed the change. And because we managed the change, the teaching learning never stopped. And I'm sure you will understand and you will agree again, because many potentials were unlocked during lockdown. We realize so many teachers are capable of doing so many things. We realize teachers are real assets to the organization, right? So because we did not stop, because the flow continued, we have proved to the world that the teaching community is quite powerful. And since we have managed the change, let us know the techniques and the background and how to do it, right? Some examples, let us know some examples of successful change management. What happened, Domino's Pizzas? In 2008, the market had reached the all-time low, had struck the all-time low hit. What happened then? They changed their strategies. They started using technology, started taking feedback. Somebody's writing, absolutely, ma'am. Ghosh, madam or sir, thank you so much. So when they started using technology, when they changed their strategy, and we know the condition today, what happened to Nokia? Connecting people together. What happened? What happened when the connections, like you see, so many companies are now in its place. Coca-Cola, The changes are the Diet Coke, the zero-calorie Coke, the normal Coke, the Coca-Cola, and so many things. Why? To sustain themselves. So yes, change is the law of nature. Ravi Shankar sir, absolutely, change is the law of nature. So we had to manage it. We know changes are inevitable. So how to manage it? Some examples of changes due to COVID. All of you are aware, all the big shops, all the variety stores, they started making masks and sanitizers. The luxury hotels became, converted to the quarantine centers. It is not only because of the earning, but because of the need of the hour. Otherwise, they would have perished. You see, so many children, as we had seen, go back to those days, 2020, when COVID started recently, lockdown, we didn't know what's happening. We could not control the situation. We had not got control over the situation. Then what happened? So many children started selling vegetables because those were the things which were sold and which, gave money, through which they earned money. Think of those shops which were closed, and then the shops had closed, but they put a table or something, and then they were selling masks and sanitizer because that was the need of the hour. Many companies started manufacturing masks and sanitizers. So this was some of the examples of COVID pandemic and how people managed with the change. That is why they sustained, right? So changes are necessary even in the education scenario. Just pause and think. Just pause and think, participants. There has been a paradigm shift in the education world from teacher-student rapport to smart board to online teaching, right? What happened when we were students? I'm sure way back 25, 30 years back, what happened? We used to hear, we accepted all that a teacher said is like, is the punchline, is always right. And what we did, we took down notes, we listened to the teachers, we memorized, we answered exams, and none of us were tensed. What is going to be, what's going to be the result and all. What happens if we get 0.2% less? Somebody has written beautifully that changes essentials in the business sector. Yes, most people started looking towards the essentials in the business sector. Absolutely. So Seema ma'am is writing, yes, absolutely. All of you, right, ma'am. Vinay sir is writing, wonderful. So what happened is smart board. When these smart boards came into, we were auditory learners. When the smart boards came into existence, yes, somebody's written, right, ma'am, thank you. What happened? Children started learning visually. It's a visual impact was more, right? For us, the teacher was the best audiovisual aid, right? But then children wanted technology. From that era to the technology era, to online teaching, from smartboard to online teaching. And now online teaching, what happened? We all learned. We never knew from chalkboard to keyboard. Did we practice? Never. But we managed the change, right? So paradigm shift in the education scenario. And then we realize why? Because what we have to do now is the teacher has to take care of the understanding of the children, right? अभी बच्चों को समझाने से ज्यादा उनको समझने की जरूरत है. All of us are facing problems. We might have our own children, teenagers. Some of you might be teaching, students of adolescent students in your school. And how difficult. Change is the process of learning myself. Absolutely. How difficult it is. और जब याद करिए जब वो transition phase था, when the phase was of transition, so much of chaos. The teachers were complaining, my God, we never had this problem before. The students were complaining, my God, what a problem to listen to this teacher. And what some words came into existence, Jailan. Kitna jailan jhelna padta hai. And all these things, Then what happened? Now we realized when education becomes edutainment, students learn faster. If you feel what I've said is justified, put a J in the chat box, please. If you feel what I've said is justified, put a J in the chat box. Yes, Kumud ma'am, very good J. Most of you are writing J. The names which are visible in the chat box, Mishra ma'am, Naresh sir, all of you are Niranjan sir writing J. That means you agree that it just. Now you see what the child has to see, right? The child says, why can't the teacher teach me the way I understand? That is why this technology era came into existence. And now instead of teaching children, we have to make them understand the use, the misuse, and the abuse of technology. We cannot be ahead of children in technology. आप देखिए स्टैंडर्ड 3 का बच्चा अगर आपके घर में है, 2 के बच्चे, 3 के बच्चे, वो आपको मोबाइल में क्या क्या फैसिलिटी है आपके मोबाइल में शायद आपको ना पता हो लेकिन उनको पता होगा. They are not sitting with the mobile every time, but they know how to use it, right? So agree, somebody is writing. Yes, Sharma ma'am, Romila ma'am, all of you, thank you so much for agreeing. So we have to understand how to manage the change, not only in classroom teaching, in managing students, managing our home, managing the professional workplace, everywhere. We need to manage the change. That is why managing change session today. इतना होने के बाद there is a food for thought. अब देखते हैं food for thought क्या है. देखिए टीचर्स कंसर्न इन टीचिंग, जरा ध्यान से देखिए पिक्चर को. दिस पिक्चर इज देयर इन द नेट, यू कैन टेक आउट. 1969 the children were questioned. The teacher and the parents were on one side.
Mosmi ma'am, sorry to disturb you. Mosmi
Yes?
ma'am, can you switch off your video? It is showing that due to low bandwidth it is creating problem. So
Okay,
if you
just
can
a
switch
minute.
off the video, it will be
Yeah,
better.
I've switched off
Thank
now.
you.
Is that okay? Yeah. Now you see the
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
the teacher's concern in teaching. 1969, what happened? The children were questioned if they performed badly. It was not the teacher's headache. The teacher's responsibility was to teach the children, whereas the parents questioned the child. What happened? Why a bad performance? And what is happening these days? All of you are aware of it. We complain, we talk, we regret, but what can we do? Now the teacher is at the receiving end. Yes, Rachna ma'am, thank you. And the child is laughing, you see, and the parents are questioning the teacher. Kis tarah scenario badal gaya? But aren't we managing the change? We are managing the change. And that is why teaching learning continues even outside. Yeah, thank you. Somebody's writing absolutely right, ma'am. Teaching learning continues even outside the classroom because teachers are lifelong learners and there is no substitute for teacher. So we have to learn the change. We have to understand the change. We have to manage the change. And let us see how we have to go further to manage the change. So why we need to manage the change? Because change is the only constant is change. Parivartanameva sthiramasti. Right? Everything changes. In the subsequent slide, we will see how somebody is giving reactions, clapping and thumbs up. That's very nice. Thank you. That's quite motivating. So there is a shloka from Bhagavad Gita, right? The shloka says, the chapter 2, 13th shloka says, Dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yovanam zara tatha dehantara praptir dhirastatra namoyati. Arthat, the body changes. So many, soul, the body migrates. The soul migrates from one body to another. Though there is a cycle, every 7 years, all the cells of the body get replaced. Then, 99% of the cells are getting replaced gradually. Every cell, every minute that we breathe in oxygen, it goes into forms a oxyhemoglobin, and then the carbon dioxide is released out. So this is that cyclic changes, the process. Thank you. Somebody's writing very nice, man. So this process, the changes are going on everywhere. So if the body changes, if the nature has made change inevitable, so don't you think we should manage the change instead of cribbing for the change? देखिए ना, कई बार ऐसा होता है कि हम सोचते हैं कि कितने परिवर्तन आ गए हैं, कैसा हो गया है. But as teachers, we cannot say that कितना परिवर्तन आ गया, हम क्या करें. अभी तो हमने मैनेज किया ना, गिर पड़ के सीखे, मैनेज किया. और अभी देखिए बहुत लोग क्या करते थे, पहले लेग पुलिंग हुआ करता था, अभी हैंड होल्डिंग हो रहा है. I am good at making presentation, you are good at booking WebEx. अभी ये सबसे बड़ा एग्जाम्पल तो COE और सहोदया है, सारे सहोदया कॉम्प्लेक्स. अभी कितना चेंजेस आ गया देखिए ना, ब्यूटिफुली फ्रॉम द मीटिंग चेंज टू द फ्रॉम इवेंट इन WebEx to webinar in WebEx. And how nicely two people are managing. Madam do this, madam join this. ये तो सबसे बड़ा एग्जाम्पल है. And thanks to CBSE, COE, thanks to Sahodya, जो इतने changes teachers को expose कर रहे हैं, exposure for all the teachers, exposure for us, and so much we are learning. Every time I take a session, I learn something new from the chat box. You know, and chat box is our weapon now. So change is the only constant, and we have to accept it. Not only accept, we have to manage it, manage with it. So again, why is change necessary? Change brings risks and uncertainties, but if not managed properly, it may lead to huge cost. अभी जरा सोचिए, अगर हमने ये change manage नहीं किया होता, उन दिनों की बात सोचिए when the resource people went from one place to another and 5 teachers from each school, and how difficult it was. So many mainas of training, days of training, we could not arrange, no accommodation. 5 English teachers को एक साथ भेजिए, English का training है, so it was so tough. And now you see whole of the eastern part, or sometimes when we did principals training, whole India, whole of the country, wo to national ho gaya. We all connected together at the same time. But if it was not managed properly, ye to yahi learning ruk jati na. Sare system haywire ho jate. Isiliye. Then changes bring big challenges. But if you don't have changes, life becomes monotonous. Right? So, and we should understand changes bring new responsibilities, new opportunities, and many changes, bring new threats, which are actually stimuli for improvement. So change matlab improvement, and we change for better. Abhi ye hamare upar hai ki we change for better or we change for worse. Changes to hona hi hai. या आप अच्छाई की तरफ जाइए, इंप्रूवमेंट के लिए चेंज करिए, या बैकवर्ड जाने के लिए क्रिप करिए, ओ ये चेंज हम तो मैनेज ही नहीं कर पा रहे हैं, क्या कर सकते हैं, हाउ टू गो अबाउट all these changes. So let us not waste time on that. Let's use time in managing the change, right? Fastest fingers first. आप लोग अभी तैयार है fastest fingers first के लिए? How many of you are ready to navigate the change with me? So what, according to you, let us do is managing change. Managing change is when we proactively make most of the changes to benefit ourselves, right? So ready? ये आपको hints भी दे दिया fastest finger first में. अभी आपको बस इतना ही बताना है. What is the most difficult part of managing a change? जरा सोचिए. You have only 90 seconds to think and put in the chat box. What is the most difficult part? Acceptance, understanding, time. Not very close. All of you are writing time, Chandan sir and all. Acceptance, Mishra ma'am, availability of learning, time, understanding it quite close. The most difficult part of managing the changes. थोड़ा और आगे बढ़िए ना अंडरस्टैंडिंग से. Adaptability. Okay, then we go with the understanding. Fastest fingers में तो first 5 ही आते हैं, हमने तो 15-20 को देख लिया. Okay, the stress management, acceptability. Okay, let us see what is the most difficult part of managing a change. अभी भी टाइम है, लिख सकते हैं चैट बॉक्स में. पेशेंस, अकोमोडेशन, प्रकाश सर इज राइटिंग, let go of current status. Okay, behavior, understanding, Sarita ma'am. So I think we'll go with understanding, but to be more accurate, to be more precise, you have to, can we use the Padlet? You just use your Padlet and write. I will give you a link in the chat box. The Padlet has opened. You put all that you have said. I will give you a link in the Padlet. Just a minute. Why is it not opening? Yes, just a minute. It's opening. I will copy the link and put it here in the chat box. Just a minute. Yeah, you can click on the Padlet and then start writing. I have put it 2-3 times. Just click on the Padlet. Could you get the link? Yes. Padlet mein link chala gaya. Just click on the link and start answering the Padlet. Yes, very good. Many of you are writing understanding. Dekhte hain. Mindset. Please write your name. If you don't write your name, then it's difficult for me to understand. change others, okay, mindset, maximum mindset आ रहे हैं. All of you are, many of you are writing understanding and mindset. All right, no problem. One or two words only you have to write. Wonderful, wonderful, beautiful. All of you are responding. Wonderful. Many of you are writing mindset. Adaptation mindset. Okay, all right. Fine. Done. So now let us see what is the most difficult part of managing a change. Most difficult part of managing a change is recognizing the change. We didn't get that word, no problem, but understanding is close to it. So abhi aapko change recognize karna hai. Just take the example of online teaching. We did not realize that we have to do online teaching, but we realized, we recognized that we cannot go ahead with physical teaching. And that led us for online teaching. And we did not start immediately, right? Gradually, we learned, we explored, अपने आप ही हमने किया. तब कोई ऐप हमें पता नहीं था, तब कुछ नहीं पता था. But we recognized that. What did we recognize? Now we not call children to the classroom. So we need a change. That was the change that we recognize. Chandan sir, thank you. Absolutely right, ma'am. So most difficult part of managing a change is recognizing the change, right? And see, if you fail to achieve your goal, then change the strategy, not the goal. This is another important aspect. हम goal set करते हैं बच्चों के लिए. बहुत सारे teachers, बहुत सारे participants होंगे, the ones who are teaching the board classes 10 and 12, right? So what do? We say maybe 30% of the children or 40% of the children should get 90 and above in my subject. Then we realize that instead of 40, only 20% have got 90. Then what do we do normally? Teachers tend to, okay, 20 को मिला ना, next year 25 कर सकते हैं target, but वो नहीं करना है. आपको अपनी strategy बदलनी है, goal नहीं बदलना है. 25 नहीं कर सकते, उसको 40 fix करके strategy बदलिए. कौन से किस तरह में भी solving papers, calling children for extra classes, remedial classes, anything. Change your strategy to get to ensure that you achieve your goal. So this is very important aspect. अक्सर हम गलती इसी में कर देते हैं, हम गोल बदलते रहते हैं, उससे क्या होता है, बहुत chaos हो जाता है. You know, chaos, the environment becomes chaotic. And then you say, हमें तो last moment instructions मिलते हैं school से, we do this, we are not getting, we are not happy. Maximum the burnouts occur because we keep changing the goal. Please don't change the goal, change the strategy, right? And then you see, and this is not overnight. एक घंटे में हम सेशन करवा रहे हैं, इसका ये मतलब नहीं कि एक घंटे में you can manage the change. It will take time, but gradually I'm sure we all will be able to manage the change. Now let us see some principles of managing the change. The principles, what are they? IAS. These are some of the, yes, Maushumi ma'am, absolutely right, you're writing, thank you. IAS is involve and seek support from people within the system. Right? अगर हम लोगों को involve नहीं करेंगे, if we don't work as a team, remember teachers, you have tremendous potentials in your hands, right? The more because you are touching maybe 250 to 300 families per day, online or offline. You are building the future generation. You are the nation builders. So the more you work as a team, the better it is. So we have to involve and seek support. अभी बताइए ना, आपको presentation बनाना नहीं आता, जैसे हमको तो WebEx use करना नहीं आता था. But how did I learn? I started learning from my IT department. Many things I did not know, but then we gradually learned. So we have to involve and seek support from people if you have to manage the change successfully. Then UPS, ये तो common है. Understand the present and plan specificity. ये नहीं है अचानक से कुछ नहीं हो सकता है. Right? You have to plan what applies in your organization may not be applicable to my organization. So you have to see the situation, understand the present. अभी हम COVID हो गया, so online lock सब lock है, lockdown में what can we say? We want one app, we want this. No, rather all of us started using Google Meet, Zoom, whatever was available for us. And then we realized about WebEx, then we realized about the paid version of Zoom, so many things. But immediately हमने क्या किया? जो present, we understood the present, right? Then plan development in appropriate, achievable, measurable stages. Bam. So if suddenly, can we have anything very sudden? We cannot. So जितना achieve कर सके, smart goal set करिए, appropriately smart, right? Thank you. Somebody is getting very nice session. Thank you. और एक IFSC कोड तो सबको याद रहता है, उसी तरह IFSC involve, facilitate involvement of people, sanction resources as early as possible, and communicate continuously. Teachers, you are the leaders of your class. You know, you are the leaders in your area, and one of the most important attributes of a leader is successful, effective communication. अगर आप interaction करते रहेंगे, right? If you involve people and interact, keep communicating. Kuch nahi, just ask them. Ask your children. We are not very well versed with the technology, but if you keep involving your children, how is it, children? Am I all right? Okay, can you see me? Am I visible? Am I audible? And you see, children will be there with you. एक बहुत मेजर सा कंप्लेन रहता है टीचर्स को, इनिशियली रहता था, बच्चे वीडियो ऑफ कर देते हैं. You know, children keep saying network issue. Teacher gets fed up and says, okay, no issues. Put off your video, right? So if you keep communicating with your people and you sanction resources as early as possible, जैसे if you are leaders, if you are an HOD, if you are a coordinator, if you are vice principal, if you are principal, we should know how to sanction resources, and तभी जाकर we can get, you know, concrete results. So keep communicating. अगर आप कुछ बच्चों को भी देते हैं, homework वगैरह देते हैं, keep asking them. Projects, अभी board is saying CBSE wants project, art integrated projects. So keep asking them. We cannot complain. अरे ये नहीं मिल रहा है project, बच्चे जमा ही नहीं करते, बच्चे submit नहीं करते. But keep asking them, how much have you done, child? Children, how far have we gone? What are you doing? Let me know a little bit. And you see, gradually, बच्चे भी involved हो जाएंगे. So this is very, very important. So these are some of the principles of managing change. But remember, nothing can be done alone. We all, as a team, we can work and succeed the way we have done. और देखिए कितना change management process के 6 activities जो है ना, life के 6 activities के साथ कितना tally होता है. You just see the circle, you know, this is a cyclic change, but the cycle is not a closed one, it's an open one. Identify the potential change, assess the change, plan the change, implement the change, review and sustain the change, and after that go for the new one. जिस तरह बच्चे, you know, small child to adolescence to youth to middle age to old age, and then migration of the soul to the new body. Some time back I read out the sloka to you and chanted the sloka. So how applicable it is. Every 7 years the body changes, right? And then the soul migrates to the new body. इसी तरह हम लोगों को, when we identify the change, not only during COVID, even after that, even before that, change तो inevitable है. Change is the only constant. So we have to identify the potential change. अगर हम change नहीं करेंगे, तो nature will change us. So we too, you know, we keep ourselves abreast with the changes. We have to identify the change. कौन सा change? अभी देखिए ना बच्चों को from molding to holding. पहले बच्चे clay मिट्टी की तरह होते थे. क्या होता था? बच्चे, लड़कियां, we used to shape them. When children came, it was and our hats off to all the pre-primary and primary teachers. I always bow down, you know, in total respect for them, because they are the ones who train children who don't know anything about themselves, and then they send the finished products to the high school. So hats off to the KG teachers. You know how they train the little ones. And पहले क्या था, बच्चे मिट्टी की तरह होते थे, उनको shape करना है. So we were molding them, and now we are holding them. You know, I had to put off my video. I wish I could show you. You know, if you have to keep your hand like in a specific way, only then you can hold. Bachche, abhi just a minute. For some time, I will on my video so that you understand it better, and then I'll switch it off again. See, क्या होता था ना, from molding to holding. अब आपको hold ऐसे करना है. If you are too strict, बच्चे तरल पदार्थ की तरह, it flows out. If you are too lenient, it flows out. Balance करके इस तरह रखना है. And it is not an easy thing, whether parents or teachers, it's not an easy thing to keep your hand like that to keep the balance. तो इतने changes तो आए हैं ना, और अभी हमने change किया from molding to holding, हर जगह changes हुए हैं. Even the girls who got married and who went, you know, they changed themselves according to their in-laws' place. But now you see how headbent, how stubborn they are. So gradually, you know, the family has to change. So it's happening every house, every school, every organization, everywhere. So we plan the change, we implement, or main has sustained karna change ko. This is the point where we, you know, leave it, and where we neglect. So we are not able to, you know, change, sustain it. We are not able to put it in the system. So sustain the change and then assess the new one. So beautifully correlated with the activities of childhood, from like human life to the successful change management process. Ab dekhiye kya next is the 4 P's of change management. The change in structure, process, people, and technology. So the purpose of the change, the picture of the change, the planning the change, and the part that is the sustain. So this involves structure, process, people, content. These are the 4 P's of change management process. If we remember this, I think it will be at your fingertips, the change management process. अब देखते हैं challenge of change. The most difficult. Oh, somebody is writing incredible session, ma'am. Thank you so much, sir. What a motivation, sir or ma'am, whoever has written. Not able to see the name, but I'm sure I will capture all the chat box responses. Challenge of change. We said the most difficult part of the change is to recognize the change. The most challenging part of the change is the resistance to change and the model the change as a leader. You know, you are all leaders in your areas. You are all assets for the organization. So the leader is responsible to bring about the change, to explain the change, and to sustain the change. How can we do that? First is unfreezing. You prepare for the change. Then the movement, actual change, and then refreezing, sustain the change, right? So prepare for the change, do the change. Movement is the change. The revolution. Kabhi changes to revolutionary hote hain, right? And then you sustain the change. And remember, all changes are not acceptable and beautiful for everybody. So kabhi aapko changes ke liye bahut struggle chahiye. Jaise aapko experimentation, and you know, you can experiment. You have the liberty in your school. You can do anything. Yeah, law of motion is applicable. Absolutely, absolutely. So sometimes you cannot. And tell me one thing, somebody has written law of motion is applicable. In order to bring about a change, what do you need to do to the matter? If there is a change in the matter, what is needed to change a matter? Many physics people must be here. Science background people must be here. Let us see what is needed to change matter. Apply force. Yes, sir. Apply, or ma'am, apply force, evolution. Very practical session. Thank you. So what can we do? Matter mein kya karna hai? Just apply force only? Is it only force that will change the matter? Neeraj sir, is it only net force? Pressure, force, pressure. Yes, absolutely. I think Savita ma'am, energy is the word. Either you add energy or you remove energy, then matter changes. Absolutely. So what do we do? If you have to bring about a change as a leader, you have to have that energy, right? अगर आप energetic नहीं है, और अगर अभी आप, जैसे अभी example लीजिए, हम session ले रहे हैं, वीडियो ऑफ है, तो energy level और बढ़ाना है, नहीं तो फिर आप मेरे साथ नहीं रहेंगे. So apply more energy, absolutely. So potential energy, Rajiv sir, to kinetic energy, Rajiv Mehta sir, potential, kinetic, any energy but energy. और आपको क्या break करना है? Inertia. So that is how a leader can bring about the change. And you know, let me tell you, the survey says only 38% of the people are comfortable with the change. Rest 62, they don't want to change. Why? There is a fear. मेरा comfort zone चला गया तो, कहीं change हमारे लिए बुरा हो गया तो. So as a leader, you have to have more energy and bring in the change. And let me tell you, this is not a path of roses to manage the change and bring about the change. Yes, stop inertia, absolutely. You have to model the change. So how to model the change? अब फिर आगे बढ़ते हैं, देखते हैं. Building a culture for change, right? What can we do? First is you have to make people aware. Why is the change necessary? बच्चों के साथ भी यही करना है. अभी बच्चों के लिए अभी अवेयरनेस, लॉजिक बहुत जरूरी हो गया है. So awareness of why change is necessary. Then you create a desire to change, right? जैसे अभी ये ऑनलाइन ट्रेनिंग के लिए हम लोगों को तो बहुत डर लगता था, कैसे ऑनलाइन करेंगे? And thanks to Ranjit sir, thanks to COE Jyoti Prakash sir and all people and all the Sahodaya people who said ऐसे करेंगे मैम, ये कर लेते हैं मैम, ऐसे कोशिश करते हैं. तो gradually desire हुआ, okay, to learn and change. And once you have the desire to change, you want to develop the knowledge, and the knowledge for developing the change gradually occurs. Then you have to have foster ability to implement the new skills and behavior. अगर आप बोलेंगे कि अरे ऑनलाइन क्लासेस लेना है, somebody else will do for me, तब तो कभी चेंज नहीं होता, राइट? चेंज माइंडसेट में भी चेंज करना है, सॉफ्ट स्किल्स में भी चेंजेस लाना है, वैल्यूज में चेंजेस लाने हैं, राइट? पहले लोग झुककर पीपल यूज्ड टू टच द टोज और पूरा बेंड होकर साष्टांग करते थे, प्रणाम करते थे. किस लिए? वो ईगो बेंड होता था. हमारे कोई भी काम के लिए when we went, we touched our elders' toes, हमारी सारी तकलीफें बड़ों के पैर के नीचे से चली जाए. लेकिन अभी लोग तो घुटना तक ही छूते हैं, isn't it? So gradually, so there is a change in the values also, and we can't say, hey, पूरा पैर पढ़ो जरा. We can't say that. So foster the ability to implement new skills and providing reinforcement to sustain the change. ये बहुत जरूरी है. Unless you reinforce to sustain the change, you cannot build a culture for change. और ये सिर्फ कोविड टाइम के लिए नहीं, हमेशा के लिए culture of change होना चाहिए, so that we learn, we improve, and we progress, right? So I am not saying this. Zeb had, he gave the Adker model for change. These are the 5 building blocks implemented to realize change successfully, right? So to build a culture of change, we need the Adker model, which says awareness, desire, knowledge, ability, and reinforcement. That is how we can build the culture of change, right? Role of leader in change. What is the role of a leader? Leader is one who can take a group of people to a place they don't think they can go. It is said, it's a very common saying, you must have heard about it. Management is making people do what they are supposed to do, and leadership is making people do what they never thought they could. So if you are a good leader, you will create several leaders, and all teachers are good leaders because they create several leaders in the society, right? If you feel I have convinced you, put a capital C. If you feel I have confused you, put a small c in the chat box. So all capital C's, thank God. All capital C's, Madhumita ma'am, all capital Suleiman sir. Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much. That means you're convinced. Leadership is we, not me. Mission, not my show. Vision, not division. And community, not domicile. Leaders always create leaders. They say we, never I. Right? That I factor can be a manager, but never a leader. A leader can play both positive as well as negative role in change management. So it's up to you, teachers. It's up to you, participants, which role as a leader you want to play. And if you play a positive role, a culture of change is certainly possible in your organization. So let's take some time and let the change occur naturally, right? The entire change management plan needs to be implemented in bits, not all at a time. एक साथ नहीं करना है. I said in the beginning, you have to gradually go for the change. And as discussed, a process change and innovation might prompt resistance. हमने बोला पहले ही, इतना आसान तो नहीं है, ये कठिन process है, ये इतनी आसानी से तो नहीं होगा, इतने सरलता से तो नहीं होगा. वो somebody is writing awesome ma'am, thank you sir or ma'am, whoever it is, thank you so much. So change है, you have to be active, sometimes passive, whatever the change is. Innovation requires time, right? And there'll be a lot of resistance. We have to come across the resistance, because we have to realize innovation is innovation, right? It is our inner vision. And when you have an inner vision, you will certainly arouse the culture of change management. We have to accept the change. We have to walk with the change. So start with the small changes first, and then gradually go to the larger ones, and touching almost every area of change. till the entire change plan is implemented. अभी हम लोगों का pedagogical plan बनेगा, आप लोग के principal ma'am या principal sir बताएंगे. Gradually we will go on changing. So ये overnight तो नहीं हुआ, जुलाई से चल रहा है मार्च तक. Gradually we will change and we will make our annual pedagogical plan. So that is change management. Slowly and gradually empowering people is another aspect of change management. अभी देखिए तो क्या how to sustain the change. So when strong leadership comes into play, you have to sustain. We can sustain the change. And strong leadership means कभी-कभी आपको विट्टो लगाना पड़ेगा. बच्चे बोलेंगे, no, we don't want to do this. Sometimes you have to be one with them, participative leadership. Sometimes you have to be authoritative leadership. Sometimes it has to be authoritarian leadership. Lot of ways, but a strong leadership, right? Sustaining change is all about letting the change flow while addressing the challenges of the process. Never find fault with the people, you know, but we have to address the problems in the processes. अक्सर क्या होता है, if some teacher comes and says something, the leadership feels, अरे इस teacher ने बोला, we always say, this one said, that one said, who said, किसने बोला, लेकिन उसी किसने बोला के चक्कर में क्या बोला वो हमसे चूक जाता है. So always see the process, not the people. Ek aur food for thought, right? Agree, ma'am, somebody's writing. Good. Oh, one of the best sessions. Thank you. Thank you so much. Change is inevitable. So we motivate all to navigate and attract gleaning experience for creatively handling and adapting to new cultural phenomena for growth and enrichment. एक बार और repeat करते हैं. We motivate all, because changes are inevitable, change is inevitable. We motivate all to navigate and attract. Gleaning is something very new. Gleaning experience for creatively handling and adapting to new cultural phenomena for growth and enrichment. कुछ examples हमने दिया cultural phenomena का. Thank you. Somebody's written excellent session. Priyanka ma'am, thank you for the compliment. So this is managing change, manage change, right? So what is manage change? I have put it, you know, the acronym of manage change, right? So this is managing change. 5 E's to successfully build, manage, and transform the organization is effectiveness, efficiency, execution on plan, exceeding expectation, and engagement and satisfaction. How effective you are. An efficient teacher will finish the portion before time, but an effective teacher will ensure that all children learn and do well in the examination. So how effectively you manage the change decides your efficiency and how well you execute the plan. कई बार ऐसा होता है, कितनी बार देखा गया है कि एग्जीक्यूशन नहीं होता प्लान का कंप्लीटली, तो प्लान फेल हो जाते हैं. So dear teachers, dear participants, whatever we plan, follow instructions verbatim and the organization, the workplace becomes a wonderful place, right? And if first 3 are taken care of, the next 2 will follow automatically. अब हाउ टू मेजर द इम्पैक्ट. आपने चेंजेस कर लिया, ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में मैनेज किया चेंज, एक कल्चर डाल दिया मैनेजिंग चेंज का, चेंज मैनेजमेंट का, सब चल रहा है, यू नो, इनोवेशन एंड ऑल, एवरीथिंग इज गोइंग ऑन. So how do we measure? We measure from stakeholders' feedback. Oh, somebody's writing, you're too good, ma'am. So nice. So thank you. Stakeholders' feedback, market research, ये बहुत important है. And yes, you can take screenshot if that is possible. Pinpointing growth factors, yielding outputs, and सबसे important है pre and post change management. कोई छोटा सा भी आप change implement कर रहे हैं तो उसका पहले प्री असेसमेंट करिए, तभी आप वो प्रिंसिपल्स की बात याद रखेंगे. IAS, PAM, UPSC, UPS, IFSC, सब पहले आप प्री असेसमेंट करिए, फिर पोस्ट असेसमेंट करिए, पोस्ट चेंज मैनेजमेंट. एंड फर्स्ट थिंग इज यू हैव टू सी द ग्रोथ फैक्टर्स, बिकॉज कुछ चेंजेस जो है वो आपको सिर्फ सूट करते हैं, सबको नहीं. देन यू कैन नॉट से माय प्रिंसिपल इज नॉट लिसनिंग टू मी or my superiors are not listening to me, because if the organization benefits, everybody benefits. Individual benefits may not go a long way. That is why measuring impact is to be done very carefully. And dimensions of leading change is when we have to wind up communicating, involving others, helping others, and supportive learning environment. So these, these 4 things are very, very important when you have to lead the change, because you are all leaders, I said. You are all leaders in your classes, in your area, right? So communicating, involving teachers, helping them, and providing a supportive learning environment. Unless you provide a supportive learning environment, changes are not, anything is not possible even whether introduction of a change or leading the change is not possible. So kya abhi dekhiye, solve dekhiye. From IQ, पहले क्या होता था ना, IQ था, इंटेलिजेंट क्वोशेंट, लोगों को, बच्चों को जॉब मिलते थे, रिक्रूटमेंट होते थे बेस्ड ऑन द मार्क्स, राइट? So this is an old example that I'm giving you. Some years, quite a few years back, a girl gets 97.8% marks in +2, and she goes to the best medical college, and she commits suicide and dies. I'm asking you participants, what difference would it make had she got 100% marks? Because we as teachers, we fail to train the child to meet the challenges of life. And in life, changes can come from anywhere, challenges can come from anywhere. It is not a set of syllabus of physics, chemistry, bio, maths. So we have to train our children to meet the challenges of life. It said every morning the deer runs for life and the tiger runs after it for the prey. If the deer is fast enough, it saves its life. If the tiger is fast enough, it quenches its, it just satisfies its hunger. So we have to train our children to meet the challenges of life, and life has no syllabus. तो क्या हुआ बात, उसके बाद आया EQ. EQ is emotional quotient. EQ में क्या होता था? Now people started, they were assessed whether they are team players or not, whether they gel well with people or not. बहुत intelligent बच्चे होते थे, but team में नहीं काम कर सकते थे. So these were EQ. Then it came to SQ. See, SQ is spiritual quotient. Spiritual and ritualistic are 2 different things. Spiritual means think of the welfare of others before we think of ourselves. And all teachers are spiritual. All principals have to be spiritual, right? Because many times leadership and sacrifice are synonymous. कभी हम अपने फूड का त्याग करते हैं, खाने का त्याग करते हैं, कभी समय का त्याग करते हैं, कभी अपने लग्जरी का त्याग करते हैं. एवरी टाइम वी सैक्रिफाइस, कभी अपनी चीजों का त्याग करते हैं, कभी खाने के टाइम का त्याग करते हैं. So many things we sacrifice. So leaders, teachers and principals are spiritual leaders. Then अभी क्या है? Happiness quotient. कितने बच्चे खुश है बताइए तो? अभी खासकर बच्चों में स्ट्रेस क्यों आ रहा है? कितना भी मार्क्स ले आए, 98.6, 98.4, 98.2, still they are not happy. 99.8, still they are not happy. They get a job wherever they want, they get handsome salary, they get all facilities, still they are not happy. अभी खुशी के पीछे बच्चे भाग रहे हैं, और साइंटिस्ट जो साइकोलॉजिस्ट रिसर्च कर रहे हैं, हैप्पीनेस क्वोशिएंट, इतना कुछ पाने के बाद भी खुश नहीं है. So we must train our children that value we give along with change management. अभी बहुत कुछ changes हो रहे हैं. We should, yes, absolutely, contentment. We should learn how to be contented with what we get. यही तो आजकल मिसिंग हो गया है. तभी तो हम खुशी के पीछे भाग रहे हैं. खुशी क्या? खुशी तो अपने अंदर है. But what do? We children, we are happy. देखिए अभी ऐसा होता है ना, कम उम्र में बच्चे, हम लोग जब थे, when the life started, we were not worried about comfort. और जैसे जैसे उम्र बढ़ती है वैसे हमें comfort चाहिए होता. जब पहले पैसे के पीछे भागते हैं, उम्र होने के बाद comfort के पीछे भागते हैं. So वो changes तो हमें realize करना है. Ultimately क्या है? Why are we, so many parents say we have no time for our children, we can't come to school if we are called. अरे हम किसके लिए कमा रहे हैं? बच्चों के लिए ना. किसके लिए कर रहे हैं? और उन्हीं के लिए समय नहीं दे पा रहे. So these are the things which we should understand and make our community also understand. So these changes which have occurred, इसीलिए हमें, we have to provide a supportive learning environment and help others, right? So tools to assist yourself and others navigate change. You recognize the steps in the change, recognize behavior at each step, and determine action. So this is winding up of the change management process. So what does change denote? A point to ponder. We started with the point to ponder and we will end with the point to ponder. Managing change and accountability. What else can I do to rise above the circumstances and achieve the desired results, right? कहते हैं ना जो हम करके जो whatever we do, we model the change as a leader, others will follow, right? So as teachers, we must think, being in education community, we must think, what can I do to rise above the circumstances and achieve the desired results? Because we are all responsible for the future citizens. Imagine the parents have entrusted the most valuable asset in our hands, right? So we have to see what can I do to achieve the desired results the way we did in the pandemic. हमने कुछ नहीं सोचा, कुछ नहीं देखा. We started with online classes. We never bothered about you teachers never bothered about the data, never bothered about who's seeing what, never bothered about our limits. We proved to the world that sky is the limit for the teachers, right? So what can you do to manage the change and set a culture of change in your organization? The most important slide now, right? Anything that you want to say, you can put it in the chat box, please. I think I'll stop sharing. The most important slide. Yeah, thank you so much. Now can I on my video? Yeah. So thank you so much. I feel so, restless because I'm not able to see your names. Only this is coming, your feedback is coming. So no problem. But all those who have given beautiful feedback, thank you so much. I'm just capturing all the chat box feedback so that I can see all and see the feedback. Yeah. All clapping and all the sign. Thank you so much.